Hello, America. It is September 12th, 2025, the longest week we seem to have had this year. I'm Erick Erickson. These are the four things you need to know this afternoon. Up first, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson has been arrested for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson's family convinced a youth pastor to help convince Tyler Robinson to turn himself in to the police. Already, progressives are trying to claim he might have been a neo-Nazi or someone from the right. They're highlighting that in the year 2020, someone named Tyler Robinson from St. George, Utah, gave over $200 to Donald Trump. This Tyler Robinson would have been 17 years old at the time, and there were multiple Tyler Robinsons in St. George, Utah at that time. But the left can't fathom that someone from their side would commit an act of political violence. They are doing everything possible to now dismiss this and claim perhaps he was just a radicalized crazy, despite his anti-fascist statements that he carved on the various casings of bullets. It appears Tyler Robinson was radicalized online on various group chats and the like, as many people are. In this case, he just happened to be radicalized towards a progressive anti-fascist Antifa agenda and told his family that Charlie Kirk was a purveyor of hate, which is a common sentiment among progressives these days. It's unfortunate that we're in this situation. It's unfortunate his family had to turn him in. His family has declined to take the FBI reward, and it's unfortunate Charlie Kirk is dead. What's also unfortunate is that people on the left have convinced themselves of not just their superiority, but their virtuousness, such that they can't contemplate that someone could be radicalized to the left and stoop to violence that they believe only inhabits the right. This explains the conversations we continue to have in the media where either they focus on Donald Trump and the right, or they both sides it to dismiss it and say it's no big deal. Yet there continues to be a growing strain of violence festering on the left. Earlier, when I noted online that Tyler Robinson was a progressive fascist, a number of people condemned Donald Trump for saying that he was a radical leftist before knowing it was the case, as opposed to acknowledging Donald Trump was right. Until the left is willing to recognize and give voice to the fact that there are violent strains on the left, we're going to keep having these problems. Up next, President Trump is sending the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee, and possibly to New Orleans. He told Fox and Friends this morning that working with Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee, he would be deploying the National Guard to assist police in Memphis. Now, crime in Memphis is statistically down, although part of that is people have given up reporting it. It's so pervasive. But even with murder at a 6-year low, Memphis ranks at the top in the nation for murders. Think about that. It's at a 6-year low, murder in Memphis, Tennessee, and yet it still outranks virtually every city in the United States for murder. That's how bad the crime is in Memphis. To say that the crime is down in Memphis is to say that, well, we still got a lot of syphilis in the country, but it could be worse. It's bad in Memphis. I have family that lives near Memphis. Memphis at night, even in tourist areas now, can turn violent. The president has decided he will show blue states that he can solve crime problems working in conjunction with states, and he noted that he's not sending the National Guard to Chicago because, though he very much wants to, it's the local government in Chicago that stands in the way. So by going to places like Memphis and New Orleans, which I suggested, he can show that red states are committed to lowering crime and show blue states, even without banning guns, it's actually possible to get a meaningful reduction in crime so that citizens in those areas feel safe. Up next, consumer sentiment is now falling, and in fact, there have been a lot of revisions in the growth estimates of the country that we're not going to see as much growth. Again, people have politicized tariffs. The president says they're great, so a lot of his supporters say they're great, but consumer sentiment shows costs are going up. Grocery prices, they're starting to feel like are going up. They still don't feel like inflation has been dealt with a lot, and they're worried about moving forward. What's the economy going to look like? Manufacturing jobs, they've lost 75,000. In the last 3 months. We know that the economic revisions have shown 911,000 jobs were never created that the government said were created in the last year of Joe Biden's White House. Consumer sentiment continues to fall in this country. That's a warning sign for Republicans. Perhaps a reduction in the interest rate by the Federal Reserve will help it, but Republicans should not trifle with this. Democrats spent 3 years with Joe Biden dismissing economic concerns from consumers and voters, and now Republicans have followed into the same trap. The only major policy that has changed is tariffs, and voters are still concerned about rising costs. That should be a warning sign for the Republicans. Instead of trying to dismiss their concerns and telling them that they don't know what they're talking about with tariffs, Republicans should take the consumer sentiments meaningfully and try to address the concern. Energy is one way to do it. Lower energy prices. Lastly, it's the weekend. Thank God. We're all exhausted. This has been a heavy week in America. I would encourage you to go home this weekend and unplug as best you can from the internet, from the noise, and from the news, and enjoy your family, enjoy your community. You know, I say this all the time, but it's worth saying here at the end. When the Jews were sent into exile, the prophet Jeremiah sent them a letter and told them they'd be there for about 40 years. In fact, the Bible records it was the prophet Daniel in exile reading Jeremiah's letter, realizing that they were going to be in exile for an extended period of time. And the prophet Jeremiah said, "These are the words of the Lord your God. Plant gardens and build houses and take wives and have children and get your children married. And seek the welfare of the community in which you live and pray for it, because there you'll find your welfare." Unless you live in Washington, D.C., you're not going to find your welfare there. You find your welfare in your own backyard. So maybe turn off the phone this weekend, turn off the internet, get outside and enjoy your family, enjoy your community, enjoy the weather if you can. It's the weekend. It's time for some rest. We all need it. I'm Erick Erickson. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon before you get home for your weekend. Please stay informed, stay engaged, and please, above all else, at this time in our nation's history, keep the faith.